What is up, Packers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Draft, brought to you by Badger State Brewing, right here, and just minutes away from beautiful Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm your host and the publisher of Packer Report, Ross Uglum. Today, very excited to be breaking down what was my favorite pick in this year's draft, not necessarily by value, because obviously, Green Bay took some guys in round 7 that I really, really like. But excuse me, just okay. We have a need, went from basically a 5-2, or they call it a 3-4, but it's basically we went from two off-ball linebackers in base to 3, and we cut one of our starters in Devondre Campbell because he wasn't playing up to what we were committing to him financially. We need a linebacker. Well, they got value by trading down and selecting, not mine, but I had basically no difference in grade. Not mine, but the consensus number 1 linebacker in the draft. And it's sort of like, honestly, when Green Bay was able to select Clinton Dix, there are a lot of parallels. Now, this was in round 2, not round 1, but non-premium position, glaring roster need. That they needed to have one, and was the consensus number 1 guy, and they got him. And that's for his rookie season, it was great. Then it turned out not to be great, but this was basically that. They needed a linebacker, needed a starter at a non-premium position, had to have it. And they got the consensus number 1 guy in the draft, and were able to actually trade down to do it. Okay. Looking forward, that's what these are, right? That's what makes these a little bit different than Andy's. They're shorter, and we're definitely focusing on looking forward. Athletic profile. Everything that you would think that the Packers would want, except he's a little bit less explosive, than normal. Like they really like the broad jump. His was just sort of fine. They really like the vertical jump. His was just sort of fine. That explosiveness, no, is not an issue on tape. And those numbers are fine, right? A 57th percentile broad jump, a 57th percentile vertical jump is largely fine. What is not fine is 88th percentile wingspan. He has unbelievably long arms, especially for a player who's only 6'2" and an eighth. He has 95th percentile arm length, 75th percentile hand size. He has unbelievably long limbs, long reach. So even though he's only 6'2" and an eighth, even though he's right around 230 pounds, he's this long athlete that can just get to guys, which is crazy. 93rd percentile historically in the 40. He can absolutely fly with an 88th percentile 10-yard split. He's an athlete, man. He is. And part of that, you never want to call it like concerning, but his athleticism, his lack of elite size, right? Because 6'2" and an eighth, 230 is not elite size. It's fine. It is the modern linebacker of today. But part of, and we'll get into like specific fit is he seems like a will. He seems like a will linebacker, which is an important position. Most teams, when they go sub, they take out the Sam, leave the Mike and the will in. And, the will's an important player. They're playing 100% of the downs. They're not getting taken off the field. There are a lot of people that think Quay Walker, his best spot is the same position. I don't know how much that matters, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in fit. Excuse me. As far as what this kid does well, and I think we broke down Cooper. I'm 95% sure he has a prospect primer on the Daily Draft. So you can go back and watch that if you want our thoughts on Edgerrin Cooper kind of approaching draft day, in the sense that he might be a Green Bay Packer. I'm pretty sure we did a video on Edge, so I won't get super deep into like the scouting report aspect, but very, very fast. Sideline to sideline, aggressive, unbelievable QB spy player, unbelievable blitzer, unbelievable blitzer, and as a read and react guy, it's kind of okay. Taking on blocks, he's going to want to beat offensive linemen to the spot. He's not going to want to take on a guard or a fullback or a climbing center. Like he's going to want to beat offensive linemen to the spot. He wants to run sideline to sideline. He wants to blitz. He wants to come downhill. He wants to do all those things, which make him a great fit. I think he is the best player already, day one, at the linebacker position that they have had to cover running backs in a very, very long time. And as I've mentioned now, in Green Bay's division, how important is it? The QB spy aspect, his ability to keep, mobile quarterbacks contained. I don't know, right? Because Jared Goff's not going anywhere. JJ McCarthy, I think, is an okay athlete. Probably to me, JJ looks like an 8.5 RAS guy. I don't think they're going to do a ton with him scrambling. I don't know that they're going to do any designed run game with him. And if it's not him, it's Sam Darnold, and that's Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold. And then Caleb, going from Justin Fields to Caleb, you're hopeful if you're a Bears fan that you're getting an upgrade, but you're not getting an upgrade in athleticism. To me, Caleb is more of a Patrick Mahomes run around, make a play at the end, kind of annoy you type of guy than he is any kind of a like running threat. He wants to buy time to throw the ball, not scramble around to run it and pick up 15 yards. I'm not saying Pat doesn't do that, but it's not his preference. And that's sort of where I'm at with Caleb as well. So not a ton of running threats in the division, but at the same time, Jaden Daniels just got drafted to the Commanders. Dak Prescott is a functional running quarterback. Jalen Hurts is in Philly, and Philly keeps putting together, what you would assume are playoff level rosters, playoff capable rosters. So they're going to be at least part of things, right? In what we're talking about with the NFC. Out in the NFC West, what's the plan for the Rams after Matthew Stafford? I don't know. He's not going anywhere, but Geno Smith can move around a little bit. Kyler Murray is obviously an enormous pain in the neck. If Arizona gets its stuff together, pairing Kyler with Marvin Harrison Jr., there are mobile quarterbacks in the NFC. They exist. Like I said, Dak, Jaden Daniels can move plenty. There are guys that can move around. Now, again, is it your divisional opponents? Not so much, but at that point, you're really tapping into Edgerrin Cooper's unbelievable ability as a blitzer more than you are tapping into how excellent he has been as a spy. It is less important. Good tackler, I would say not great, but good. You got a missed tackle rate last year of 12.8%. That's fine. The year before that, I'm waiting on a little bit of an internet situation here. Missed tackle rate of 14.9%. They're on the high side of what you would want out of an elite prospect. But you look at the coverage grade, you look at the pass rush grade, you look at the run defense grade, meaning am I attacking where I'm supposed to attack? Am I in the correct gap? Am I disrupting the play? Am I taking on the offensive lineman correctly? Like that's the run defense side of it. Am I playing the run well? And then I think an obvious part of run defenses is on the tackling grade. If we're talking specifically about Pro Football Focus, I would marry the run defense grade to the tackling grade and talk about, what do we think of him as a run defender? But really, guys, this is a move to get better on against the pass in the middle. And I have to say, I mean, that, to me, that's where they identified stuff. I got a tweet the other day, and I might actually do a separate video directly to Twitter because I have thoughts on this. But somebody had responded to me and said, the Packers just used, if Jordan Morgan ends up playing guard, which I think is on the table. I don't know that it's necessarily the most likely thing, but I think it is within the realm of reasonable outcomes, certainly. The Packers just burned 5 top 91 picks on non-premium positions. Okay. I'm hearing you. I am understanding what you're saying. And when we're talking about allocation of resources, I smell what you're stepping in for sure. With that said, and the reason that this ties into what I'm talking about now, they don't really have needs. Okay. They have above average left and right tackles. And now they have another first round pick that they think can play tackle. And if not, can play guard. They have a quarterback that they believe in. If you are wanting to consider free safety a premium position, which I do, they just signed the best one in the league in Xavier McKinney, or at least the top 3 one, depending on your opinion on Antoine Winfield Jr., depending on a number of things. But that, to me, that's a premium position. They maybe have a future need at edge, but they don't have one now, especially if Enigbari can go. You just use a first round pick last year. Should be hitting a nice little development track here with Lucas Van Ness, and he's your edge 3. You have Preston Smith, you have Rashawn Gary. I would bet that Brenton Cox is more exciting than a lot of other teams' edge 5. Like that's just not a position that you have a need. Okay, so tackle you consider a premium position, done, fine. Edge you consider a premium position, done, it's fine. Free safety, done, it's fine. Now quarterback, done, it's fine. Wide receiver, do you consider wide receiver premium position? If you do, they're fine, they're great, frankly. Now, do they have a receiver in the top 10 or the top 12 of the league? Man, maybe not. Look look what the Chiefs just did. It doesn't really matter that much. Now, I think next year, now there won't probably be the box score numbers to support this. I think it's definitely on the table for the Packers to have like 4 of the best 50 wide receivers in the whole league in a 32 team league. I think Watson, Reed, Wicks, and Dubs can all be top 50 receivers in the NFL, even if the box score numbers maybe won't support that. And if that happens, by the way, this offense is going to hum because, if people's like, oh, they're all wide receiver 2s. Guess what, buddy? If you have 4 wide receiver 2s, you're doing better than the rest of the league. You are. I mean, once you get past 2, if your number 3 guy is a 2 on most teams, and if your number 4 guy is a 2 on most teams, that's going to make up for your number 1 guy maybe not being a number 1A. And by the way, I think both Wicks and Watson have the opportunity to be true top 32 receivers in this league. And that's what a wide receiver 1 is, literally by definition. Literally by definition. I think Watson and Wicks both have that upside. Reed's a little bit different thing because I think he's a slot guy. And I think I put slot guys in a different kind of bucket, which you can agree or disagree with that. I don't really care. So wide receiver is good. They convinced themselves that they were good at corner. Agree with it, disagree with it, whatever. But they convinced themselves that they were good at corner. Whether they think Eric Stokes is going to make it back all the way to his rookie form, because, by the way, he stunk healthy as a sophomore. It's not just the injury. He was bad healthy 2 years ago. So it's not just off. We can get back to injury. He'll be fine. Like, he has to also figure out what he was doing as a rookie that was working beyond, whatever. Or Carrington Valentine's going to have to make a step, or Corey Ballantyne is going to have to really be one of these lost treasures, whatever, found treasures, I guess. So I don't know what premium position outside of corner, because I think they should have done more at corner. But what they really have done, and now tying it back into the Edgerrin Cooper discussion and really moving forward into the fit conversation, is they saw what San Francisco did, which was nuke the interior of their pass defense into oblivion. And I think I said Bolivian. I was thinking about the Mike Tyson joke when he said Bolivian, and I think I actually said it, which whatever is fine, but that was not intentional. Let's talk about coverage here. Here are your targets by Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers on 36 throws. They targeted Quay Walker 6 times. That's an interior pass defender. They targeted Darnell Savage 6 times. That's an interior pass defender. They targeted Devondre Campbell 6 times. That's an interior pass defender. They targeted Keyshawn Nixon 5 times. That's an interior pass defender. They targeted Isaiah McDuffie 3 times. And they targeted Jonathan Owens twice. And Eric Wilson once. So, real quick, and I know this is great video and even maybe better radio. Let's talk about the percentage there. So Eric Wilson plus Jonathan Owens plus McDuff plus Keyshawn, and I am smart enough to know that 6 times 3 is 18. 29 of the 36 attempts from Brock Purdy were targeting the middle of Green Bay's horrid pass defense. Now, Quay is still there, and Quay gave up 5 of 6 targets, but they're only for 38 yards. So that's sort of okay. They redid the rest of it. And that is what I think the Edgerrin Cooper thing, in addition to QB spy, in addition to blitz, I think that's what the Edgerrin Cooper thing was all about. And then you marry the Edgerrin Cooper decision to the decision to bring in 3 safeties in Catano Ladapo, Evan Williams, and then Javon Bullard with a 2. And then you also bring in the highest paid until today, the highest paid safety in Xavier McKinney. You bring in nickel competition and potentially Bullard and for sure Kalen King for Keyshawn Nixon. Now, I have a sinking feeling in my gut that Keyshawn is going to win that job or going to be given that job in week 1. But they have completely identified the middle of their pass defense as the thing that needed to get fixed, and it's the thing that knocked them out. You could talk all you want about Christian McCaffrey and that run and Darnell Savage missing that tackle and the delay of game that wasn't and all of, the Jordan Love pick at the end. You could talk about all of it. The 49ers knew that they should target the middle of the Packers pass defense, and they just cooked them. You look at the completion percentage for when he actually did. I mean, he had 64 completion percentage for the game, which is good, but it's the percentage is, I think, even higher when you look at, although McDuffie was credited for only allowing 1 catch on 3 targets. I mean, they just cooked them. They just cooked them. Jonathan Owens giving up a 32-yarder. Darnell Savage giving up 63 yards. They just cooked them. And that's where Edgerrin Cooper fits, I think, immediately. As far as down the road is concerned for Edgerrin Cooper, I think he's going to start as a nickel linebacker forever. I mean, I think if if he is what I thought he was, which is basically 5 years ago he's a first-round pick, 10 years ago he's a top 15 pick, but now he's a middle upper half second-round pick just because that's where the linebacker position is. And unless you're revolutionary like our guy Micah Parsons, you're just not gonna probably get taken high, especially like in round 1. I wonder if he isn't sort of a bet maybe against Quay, and everything they say is that we believe in Quay this, Quay that. I think their position, their best position is probably the same. It's probably will linebacker. Now, the opportunity to get a Mike, and they think they're going to try with Tyron Hopper. I have some questions about that plan. But they were in on Josie Jewell, and he would have been a nice kind of like a little bit above replacement level Mike. Somebody paid Josie Jewell a bunch of money. He didn't come to Green Bay. The Mike body types, that obviously their favorite one because they had the opportunity to take Peyton Wilson. I don't think they had the opportunity to take Junior Colson probably, but their favorite of the Mikes was apparently Tyron Hopper, who's a little bit undersized. They did not go get Blake Cashman. They didn't do any of that, right? So they're maybe looking in the future for more of that like Mike type to set next to Edgerrin Cooper, and maybe Quay's not a part of the plans. But whether or not Quay Walker is a part of the plans, Edgerrin Cooper is. And I think he's a much better prospect than Quay ever was. I think, if he can do the Nick Barnett switch and play some Mike for you, that's really exciting. But boy, him as a will in a 4-3 has a chance to really, really make some noise. And I think he can be an impactful player. I mean, we talk about sacks, tackles for loss, but he's not an idiot with the ball in the air either. I mean, he's functional. I think he can really be a playmaker and can be awesome, I guess, which is not great scouting, but I think he can be awesome. Now, I personally would have loved them to take a really smart Mike and kind of put him next to Edge and kind of get things going, because I think he and Quay, unless Xavier McKinney is going to do some of that, like kind of the Mike stuff, the lines, the communications, things like that, getting guys lined up, taking in the play call, like that to me. Devondre Campbell kind of talked about some of that stuff with Quay, where he's like, Quay's a dog, go let him hunt. And I think both Quay and Edgerrin Cooper are like run, chase, kill linebackers. I can't remember which was a Packer that said he's going to kill everything in front of him. but like that's what he does well, and it's really similar to what Quay does well. But you don't pass up on a talent like Edgerrin Cooper because you already have Quay Walker on the roster. You just don't do it. And the Packers needed a linebacker. They went and to me got one of the best ones in the draft. If he could play Mike, great. If he ends up as a will for the next 10 years, that's great too. And I think he is built for this NFL. I think he can be a above average cover guy, which they didn't have, but I think he could be one of the best blitzing linebackers in the whole NFL. And I think he can be probably the best quarterback spy or read option killer in the league, which has value. I really liked this pick. People know how not high I am on linebackers in general, but to get one that can be this impactful on the passing game, I think is tremendously valuable. Guys, thanks so much for watching the Daily Draft. Thank you for following along all season. Check me out. I'm Ross Uglum on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can check us out at Packer Report. Other than that, though, do everything that you're supposed to do here on the Pack a Day Podcast YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, click the bell, get the notifications so that you can get all of this Packers content delivered to you on a daily basis. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and go Pack Go.